Do you think that Tony Khan's going to block us at some point fairly soon? Because that was our first big bit of news.
Nah. Hell no.
It's one of those things where we always do it. We record the podcast, send it out, and then a few hours later something really big and newsworthy happens, so we have to wait like a week to refer to it. But we referred to it somewhat after the NXT Dynamite head-to-head battle that Dynamite lost like something like 600,000 to 900,000 to NXT. Anyway, we referred to one of his tweets, but then after we stopped recording, there was a load more that came out, and some of these are interesting. There's a bit of a writing and reading, so bear with me. Replying to a fan who's talking about why Vince has got the right to talk as a billionaire wrestler's owner over Tony Khan for whatever reason. Tony replied, yes, Vince has allegedly used his power and influence to shoot a lot of shots. Then, soon afterwards, he writes the following. This is Tony Khan. This week, 2 active, decades-long rating streaks from 2 great legends were ended with all due respect. Until this week's head-to-head AEW on TBS versus WWE on USA, neither John Cena nor Undertaker had ever been on a WWE show with under 1 million total viewers, plus under 400k in the demo. And now, keep in mind at this point that the ratings obviously were already out, and then Tony fires this out as a great big pile of sour grapes.
I don't get it. Why is he saying under 1 million? That's like a backhanded slap.
It's not those two. It's not even backhanded. It's saying it's front-handed. It's open palm slap. Yeah, to say, hey, you had all these guys, you didn't get 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he had a load of guys and he barely scraped 600,000. Very specifically, Tony Khan referred to 1 million views. Now, I'm fairly sure that you will have seen the meme out there that happens, or that's happened, for a couple of years now, where if Dynamite, which always happens now, doesn't reach 1 million views, someone posts a sad-looking Shahid Khan, that's Tony's dad, with a big frown on, saying no 1 million. Have you seen it?
I probably have.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a big thing. So apparently, according to only Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, they have both come out to defend Tony Khan as having this brilliant idea of making this tweet because actually he was referring to the no 1 million meme, right? But the problem is that it's, apart from the fact that it says 1 million viewers, it has nothing that relates to the original meme, because the original meme is a photo that says no 1 million. So if Tony wanted to say something in reference to that, what he should have done was have a photo with John Cena and The Undertaker saying no 1 million. That would have been a direct reference to that meme, whereas this is just, I don't even know what this is, apart from just like complaining and sour grapes. Now, the only other thing that Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer have said that...
Hey, you're going to keep on. They're going to block your ass. I'm going to tell you right now.
I will get over it eventually. The only other thing is they said that
keep digging your own grave.
That's
Go
fine.
ahead.
Tony. They also said that Tony Khan was great because after releasing the sour grapes, no 1 million Undertaker John Cena thing, that he also released a load of matches for the upcoming like Rampage and Collision shows, which was his way of apparently gaming the algorithm of Twitter to try and get more advertising for the shows. Which in turn, when the ratings came out, the ratings were just in line with every other show pretty much that they've done that doesn't go head to head with WWE.
Well, again, I don't think most fans understand that. Most fans don't give a shit about that. It's just saying, oh, well, they outdrew so-and-so. They don't care, really. Just give them a good match with a good ending or a story, a continuing story, and they're happy. That's why they're watching the show. They're not watching the show for the analytics. They're not watching the show for ratings. They're watching the show to be entertained. What if you were watching some, Game of Thrones, and all of a sudden, and then they start talking about what it drew and all this. Well, hey, if it's not drawing, guess what's going to happen? They're going to put something else in that spot. They're used to that. So while you got them there, entertain them. Do not, and I've said this forever, do not offend your fans. Keep them at all costs. Keep them tuned in. Oh, I know what I was going to talk to you about.
Oh, go on.
Did you see the Tony Storm? The it's like the 20 silent movie skits you did.
We're gonna talk about that. We're
Good,
going to talk about
good.
that. We're going to talk about that. I promise you. Where was I? Okay. There's one last Tony thing. He then wrote down shortly after the 1 million thing. This weekend marks 1 year since Mayo Clinic saved my mum's life. During her ordeal, many AEW talent came to me alleging WWE tampering, inducing them to break their contracts. I'll never forget these phone calls at her side in the hospital. It's when business became personal to me. This is nothing new. I mentioned it last year after she came home. It's relevant today because she checked in for surgery 1 year ago today. As I've mentioned several times since, Mayo Clinic are heroes, and thanks to them, her recovery from a very grim outlook has been a miracle. So, what do you make? That's a lot to unpack there. What do you make of it all as far as contract tampering and sort of like lumping that in at the same time as her his very sick mother?
Well, one thing, if she's very sick, he doesn't need to be at her bedside talking business. That's for one thing. He needs to be there for support and to help his mother get better. And if he has to take the call, go out of the room, but leave somebody with the mother in case something goes wrong, because he's there for support. And because she raised him from a little boy up to this big time wrestling promoter. As for all the WWE tampering, I think about 75% of that was manufactured, because probably some of those contracts are coming up and they're calling him and telling him that WWE is interested in them, which is a lot different than contract tampering. If they call somebody, or somebody say James, you're a wrestler, and I call you and I start talking to you, if WWE wanted you, would you be interested? Now, I'm not WWE. Mm-hmm. And you would say, well, it's according to the deal. I says, well, would you? And then we talk back and forth. Is that contract tampering? That's just asking. And then if I've talked to somebody in WWE, I said, James might be interested in an offer, and they can follow through or not. But I think most of these offers was to keep their contract up in AEW. Of course, I would have to know who told Tony this. And I have the usual suspects. So, but that's what I think. And I think they bothered him. But now the burden of responsibility shifts to the talent, because why are they bothering Tony at this? He's in a very difficult period of his life. Why would they bother him like that?
That is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, even if it was true, why would you bother him when his mother's sick and they know he's at the hospital? I'm sure he probably told them. Now, business is business. I understand that. But bothering someone at a hospital when their mother, she had cancer. What did she have?
I don't know. It may have been a stroke. Let me just look it up. Okay, I'm sorry, everybody. I couldn't find it. But, if she's in the Mayo Clinic, she's going to be very, very sick, and, the doctors helped through it. Now, I actually wanted to say this was because the most famous supposed contract tampering was William Regal at this time, who caught Tony's ear while he was sort of tending to his mother's bedside. And then he sort of invoked family at the same time to get out of his AEW contract so he could go back to WWE. And I think the reason that he said was his son was in WWE and under developmental, and he wanted to be with his son. And essentially, Tony let him out of a valid AEW contract to go back to WWE. Now, this isn't Now, assuming this is some kind of emotional blackmail thing going on, this isn't on WWE, this would be on Regal, if it was.
Emotional blackmail. I like that. I got to use that sometimes.
Go on, you speak. I was taking a drink.
Oh, okay. Well, it was nice of Tony to let him go. It was. But I think some of the guys, Tony doesn't know wrestlers. He doesn't know that this is a dog eat dog business. And sometimes guys, they don't care what's going on. It's their problem takes importance over everything else, which I kind of understand, because you can be in this business one day and gone the next. And I've heard of people working for, and I have an example of this, I've heard them working for 20 years to never do nothing. And a prime example of that is L.A. Knight. He worked for years and years and years and years and really made nothing much. He didn't even make a name till this last run in WWE. And now all of a sudden they see a little bit of Stone Cold in him, which I admit that, and the fans have picked up on that. And is it anything they did? No, it's the way they presented him, and he got over. So, but I think bothering Tony during that time with contract tampering rumors is a little below the belt, I think, for the talent.
The last thing he said was, not that I should be surprised, but the same WWE avatar accounts that spam me every day, no matter what I say or what it's about, now turning their wrath to Mom, recovering from a near-death experience, is why I straight hate these people to the bottom of my heart with all my soul.